Let's talk about perfection, not the polished version you show the world, not the filtered image. I'm talking about the idea in your head that says, it has to be just right before I begin. Perfection sounds responsible. It sounds intelligent. It even sounds disciplined. When you tell people, I'm just waiting for the right time, they nod their heads. When you say, I want everything to be perfect before I launch, they respect your patience. But deep down, you know the truth. Most of the time, perfection is not preparation, it's protection. It's protection from embarrassment, protection from criticism, protection from failure. And let me ask you something honestly, how many dreams have you quietly buried under the excuse of perfection? How many ideas are still sitting in your notes? How many goals are still living in your imagination because you're not ready yet? Perfection is attractive because it gives you permission to delay. It makes procrastination look productive. You convince yourself that you're improving, refining, adjusting, tweaking, when in reality, you're avoiding exposure. Because the moment you step out, the moment you go public, the moment you try now, you can lose. Now you can fail. Now someone can judge you and the ego hates that, so it whispers gently, wait a little longer, study a little more, prepare a little more. You're almost there, but almost there has stolen years of people's lives. Here's the dangerous part. As long as you don't start, your dream stays perfect in your mind. It never gets challenged by reality. It never gets criticized. It never gets tested. It remains beautiful, untouched, flawless because it doesn't exist. The first version of anything you create will not be perfect. It will be awkward. It will be messy. It will have flaws you didn't expect. And that's exactly why it will be real. Look at every successful person you admire. Do you think their first attempt was perfect? Do you think their first speech, first business, first performance was flawless? No. What made them powerful wasn't perfection, it was permission. They gave themselves permission to be beginners. Perfection says, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. Growth says, I will do it badly until I can do it well. There is a massive difference. Perfection is static. Growth is dynamic. Perfection keeps you frozen in planning. Growth forces you into motion. And here's something most people won't tell you. Perfection is often fear dressed in luxury clothing. It sounds high standard, but it feels like hesitation. It sounds ambitious, but it acts like avoidance. When you say, I'm waiting for the perfect time, what you often mean is, I'm scared this won't work. When you say, I just need everything aligned, what you really mean is, I don't want to look stupid, but understand this clearly. Looking stupid for a season is the price of looking successful for a lifetime. No one escapes the beginner phase. No one jumps straight to mastery. Every expert you respect was once an amateur who decided to move before they felt ready. Perfection keeps you comfortable. Action makes you courageous, and comfort is addictive. It feels safe. It feels controlled. But comfort does not change your life. Comfort does not build resilience. Comfort does not create breakthroughs. Perfection promises safety, but delivers stagnation. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a starting point. You don't need guaranteed outcomes. You need courage to experiment, because progress is born in imperfection. Confidence is born in correction. Mastery is born in repetition. If you wait for the perfect moment, you will wait forever. Because there will always be one more thing to improve, one more detail to fix, one more skill to learn. And while you polish endlessly, someone else is progressing imperfectly and winning. Let me break a myth that has been silently controlling your life. The myth that one day you will feel ready. The myth that confidence comes first and then you act. The myth that motivation shows up like a lightning bolt, hits you with energy, and suddenly you become unstoppable. That's not how it works. That's not how it has ever worked. Confidence is not the starting line. It is the reward at the finish line of repeated action. But most people are stuck in reverse. They tell themselves, I'll start when I feel confident, I'll speak when I feel ready, I'll apply when I believe in myself more. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait. Meanwhile, nothing changes. Let me ask you something real. The first time you tried anything meaningful in your life, were you confident? The first time you rode a bike, were you steady? The first time you spoke in front of people, were you calm? The first time you attempted something outside your comfort zone, were you fearless? Of course not. You were nervous. You were unsure. You probably doubted yourself. But you did it anyway. And after doing it once, something shifted. You survived. After doing it twice, it felt slightly easier. After doing it 10 times, you started believing you could actually handle it. That belief did not appear magically. It was built. Confidence is built through evidence. And the only way to gather evidence about yourself is through action. When you act, even imperfectly, you send a message to your mind. You say, I can move despite fear. When you avoid action, you send a different message. You say, I am not capable. Your brain listens carefully to what you repeatedly show it. You don't think your way into confidence. You behave your way into confidence. The person who goes to the gym doesn't wake up motivated every day. They go regardless of mood. After weeks of discipline, they see results. Those results create belief. That belief fuels further action. It's a cycle. But action always starts the cycle. You want confidence in business, launch something small. You want confidence in public speaking, speak badly at first. You want confidence in relationships, communicate honestly even when your voice shakes. Waiting to feel ready is like waiting to be warm before lighting the fire. The warmth comes from the fire. The confidence comes from the doing, and here's the truth that might make you uncomfortable. The longer you wait, the more intimidating the action becomes. Delay magnifies fear. Postponement strengthens doubt. When you avoid something, your mind labels it as dangerous. When you confront something, your mind learns it's manageable. Every action shrinks fear. Every delay expands it. You are not lacking confidence. You are lacking repetition. The first video you record will feel awkward. The first project you launch will feel risky. The first step toward change will feel unstable. But the 10th time, different energy. The 50th time, completely different identity. Because confidence is nothing more than familiarity built through repetition. Think about this. Why are you confident doing simple daily tasks? Because you've done them thousands of times. There is no mystery, no uncertainty. Confidence grows where uncertain shrinks. And uncertainty shrinks only through exposure. You expose yourself to the uncomfortable conversation. You expose yourself to the challenging opportunity. You expose yourself to the possibility of failure. And each time you survive, because you will survive, you become stronger internally. The most powerful people in the world are not fearless. They are practiced. They have taken so many imperfect actions that fear no longer controls their behavior. So stop waiting for the emotional signal. Stop expecting motivation to rescue you. Stop demanding certainty before commitment. Move first, feel later. Act first, believe later. Step forward even when your knees shake, even when your voice trembles, even when your mind is filled with doubt. Because the person you want to become is built by the actions you avoid right now. Let's talk about something you cannot negotiate with, something you cannot pause, something you cannot rewind. Time does not care about your excuses. It does not care about your fears. It does not slow down because you are unsure. It does not speed up because you suddenly feel motivated. It just moves every second, every minute, every day. And while you are waiting to feel ready, time is quietly doing what it always does, passing. Think about this deeply. The dream you have right now, when did it first enter your mind? 1 year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even longer. And since that first spark of inspiration, how much action have you truly taken? Not planning, not thinking, not imagining. Real action, because time keeps a record. Not of your intentions, not of your potential, but of your execution. Every day you delay starting is a day that will never return. Every month you postpone your goal is a month of growth you have permanently lost. And the scariest part is that it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels normal. It feels harmless. I'll start next week. I'll begin next month. Next year will be my year, but weeks become months. Months become years. And years become regret. Time is the most valuable asset you have, yet it is the only one you spend without thinking. You guard your money carefully. You think before investing. You hesitate before spending. But time, you give it away to distractions, to doubt, to hesitation. You assume there will always be more, but here is the uncomfortable truth. You don't know how much time you have. None of us do. The opportunity you are postponing today might not exist tomorrow. The energy you have now might not be the same in 10 years. The responsibilities you have later might be heavier than the ones you carry today. Waiting does not make things easier. It often makes them harder. Your competition is not waiting. The market is not waiting. Technology is not waiting. The world is evolving at a speed that punishes hesitation. While you are perfecting your plan, someone else is testing theirs. While you are doubting yourself, someone else is gaining experience. Experience compounds. Confidence compounds. Skills compound. But so does regret. The longer you delay, the bigger the mountain feels. The longer you avoid starting, the more intimidating the first step becomes. Time does not reduce fear, it amplifies it. When paired with inaction, imagine if you had started 1 year ago. Even imperfectly, even slowly, even awkwardly, where would you be today? Now imagine yourself 1 year from now, still having not started. Feel that weight. Feel that frustration. That is the cost of waiting. You cannot manage time. You can only manage yourself within time. And every day you choose comfort over courage, you are choosing a smaller future. There is a silent urgency to life that most people ignore. They believe they are young forever. They believe opportunity will circle back endlessly. They believe tomorrow is guaranteed. It's not the people who achieve extraordinary things are not the ones who had unlimited time. They are the ones who respected the time they had. They treated it like gold. They moved before they felt ready because they understood something powerful. Progress over time creates transformation. Small actions repeated daily for years will outperform massive plans. Delayed indefinitely. Time rewards consistency. It punishes procrastination. It multiplies whatever you feed it. If you feed it effort, it multiplies growth. If you feed it delay, it multiplies regret, and the clock is ticking whether you move or not. It is ticking while you doubt yourself. It is ticking while you overthink. It is ticking while you scroll, compare, and hesitate. And the question is not whether time will pass. The real question is who you will become while it does. Let's be honest with ourselves for a moment. Intentions feel good. They make you feel productive without demanding anything from you. When you say, I'm going to start soon, there's a small rush of satisfaction. When you tell people about your plans, your goals, your big vision, you feel ambitious. You feel driven. You feel like a person who is about to do something powerful, but intention without action is just imagination. You can intend to change your life for 10 years and still wake up in the same place. You can intend to get in shape, intend to build a business, intend to fix your mindset, intend to learn a skill. Intention is comfortable because it costs nothing. Action costs pride. Action costs energy. Action risks failure. That's why most people stay in the world of intention. It's safe there. Nobody criticizes you for a plan. Nobody laughs at an idea that never leaves your head. But here's the truth: your life does not respond to what you intend. It responds to what you execute, and imperfect action today is more powerful than a perfect idea next year. Think about it. The first time you attempt anything meaningful, it will not match the image in your mind. The business won't look how you imagined. The speech won't sound how you rehearsed it. The project won't feel polished. There will be mistakes. There will be awkward moments. There will be flaws you didn't predict. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be, because action produces feedback. And feedback produces improvement. You cannot improve something that doesn't exist. You cannot refine a dream that never becomes real. The only way to get better is to produce something imperfect and then adjust. The first draft is always messy. The first workout is always uncomfortable. The first attempt is always uncertain. But that first attempt gives you data. It shows you where you're weak. It shows you what needs improvement. It shows you what works and what doesn't. Perfection keeps you planning. Imperfect action puts you in the game. And once you are in the game, you can evolve. Momentum is born from motion, not meditation. The longer you think about starting, the heavier it feels. The moment you move, something shifts internally. You stop being a spectator of your own potential and become a participant in your own growth. People who succeed are not people who waited until they had flawless strategies. They are people who were willing to look inexperienced. They were willing to be learners. They were willing to fail publicly because they understood something powerful. Embarrassment is temporary, but regret is permanent. When you choose intention over action, you protect your ego. When you choose action over intention, you build your character, and character is built through friction, through mistakes. Through correction, you learn more from one failed attempt than from 100 perfect plans. Failure gives clarity. It forces adaptation. It strengthens resilience. Think about how many opportunities you've delayed because you wanted everything aligned: the right mood, the right tools, the right circumstances. But life rarely aligns itself for your comfort. Conditions are rarely ideal. The people who grow are the ones who move in imperfect conditions. They create progress in chaos. They create discipline in distraction. They create opportunity in uncertainty. Imperfect action builds skill. Skill builds confidence. Confidence builds expansion. But none of that starts with intention. It starts with movement. You don't need a masterpiece to begin. You need a starting point. You don't need applause to try. You need courage to move, because the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled with intention. It is filled with action. Let's talk about the one thing that silently controls more decisions in your life than you realize. Fear, not the dramatic kind you see in movies, not the life or death kind. I'm talking about the quiet fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of being judged, the fear of not being good enough. This fear doesn't scream, it whispers. It tells you to wait. It tells you to prepare more. It tells you to stay where it's safe. And if you listen carefully, you'll notice something. Fear almost always appears right before growth. The moment you think about doing something bigger, fear shows up. The moment you consider stepping outside your comfort zone, fear tightens its grip. The moment you imagine leveling up your life, fear starts asking, what if you fail? But here's what most people misunderstand. Fear is not a wall. It's a signal. Fear is not telling you to stop. It's revealing where you need to grow. The problem is, when you avoid fear, you make it stronger. Every time you say, I'll do it later, fear gains authority over you. Every time you back down from a challenge, fear expands. It becomes larger in your mind than it ever was in reality. Avoidance feeds fear. Confrontation starves it. Think about something you were once terrified of. Maybe it was public speaking. Maybe it was approaching someone you admired. Maybe it was starting something on your own. Before you did it, your heart raced. Your mind created worst-case scenarios. You imagined embarrassment, rejection, disaster. But what happened after you actually faced it? Most of the time, it wasn't as bad as you imagined. Even if it didn't go perfectly, you survived. And survival builds strength. Fear thrives in imagination. It weakens in action. The longer you sit with fear and analyze it, the more power it gains. Your brain starts creating stories. It exaggerates consequences. It predicts outcomes that rarely happen. You convince yourself that one mistake will ruin everything. But once you step forward, once you move toward the thing you're afraid of, reality replaces imagination. And reality is usually far less terrifying. Fear is loud before action and quiet after it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite it. The most confident people you see are not fearless. They have simply trained themselves to act even when fear is present. They understand that fear is temporary, but growth is permanent. Every time you confront fear, you send yourself a powerful message. I am stronger than this feeling. And your identity begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids difficulty. You start seeing yourself as someone who faces it. That identity change is life-altering, because once you realize that fear doesn't destroy you, it loses its control over you. The presentation you avoided becomes manageable. The risk you postponed becomes possible. The challenge you feared becomes your training ground. Fear is like a shadow. The more you run from it, the longer it follows you. The moment you turn around and walk toward it, it shrinks. Growth lives on the other side of discomfort. Success lives on the other side of uncertainty. Confidence lies on the other side of repeated confrontation. If you wait until fear disappears, you will wait forever. Fear doesn't vanish before action. It fades because of action. Every major breakthrough in your life will require you to walk directly into something that makes you uncomfortable. And every time you do, you expand your limits. You redefine what you believe you are capable of. You don't eliminate fear by thinking positively. You eliminate fear by proving to yourself again and again that it cannot stop you from moving forward. Let this sink in deeply. You don't live in yesterday. You don't live in tomorrow. You live in now. This exact moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this decision yesterday is a memory. Tomorrow is a promise that was never signed. But now is real. Now is active. Now is the only place where change can actually happen. And yet most people treat the present moment like a waiting room. They sit in it. They scroll through it. They delay inside it. They tell themselves that the real action will begin later. When the mood improves, when the money increases, when the circumstances feel aligned. But later is a dangerous word. Later turns into next week. Next week turns into next year. And suddenly, Years have passed, and the version of you that once felt ambitious has slowly adjusted to being average. Right now is the youngest you will ever be again. Right now is the most energy you are guaranteed to have again. Right now is the clearest opportunity you can control. You say you want to change your life. But change does not exist in the future. It exists in present decisions. It exists in the action you take immediately after this speech ends. It exists in whether you close this message and go back to comfort or stand up and do something that moves you forward. The future is built in the present, not imagined in it. Built in it, every successful person you admire once stood in a moment just like this. A moment where they had to choose between comfort and courage. A moment where they could either delay again or finally begin. They did not have magical certainty. They did not have guaranteed outcomes. They had a decision, and they chose to act now. You keep thinking the perfect moment will feel different. You think it will feel obvious, clear, calm. You think one day you will wake up and everything will align perfectly, and you will say, "This is it." That's not how transformation works. The perfect moment is not found. It is created by commitment. It is created the second you decide that waiting has cost you enough. It is created when you become tired of hearing your own excuses. Right now is uncomfortable. Right now feels uncertain. That is exactly why it matters. If you can move in uncertainty, you become unstoppable. If you can take action without guarantees, you become powerful. If you can decide without perfect clarity, you become decisive. Most people are controlled by circumstances. They move only when conditions are favorable. But leaders move when conditions are imperfect. They understand that momentum is more important than mood. They understand that progress is more important than perfection. This moment, right here, is not small. It is not ordinary. It is the doorway between the life you are living and the life you could live. Every dream you have is waiting on a decision, not a sign, not a miracle. A decision. You don't need more time to think. You need more courage to act. You don't need another motivational video. You need movement. You don't need tomorrow's permission. You need today's discipline. The clock is not pausing for you. Life is not slowing down for you. Opportunities are not standing still for you. Now is not just a moment in time. It is power in your hands. It is responsibility. It is potential. And the difference between the person who stays stuck and the person who breaks through is what they choose to do with this moment right now. You've heard it all now. You've seen the pattern. Perfection was never protecting you. It was postponing you. Confidence was never supposed to come first. It was supposed to follow action. Time was never waiting for your readiness. It was moving regardless of your hesitation. Intention was never enough. Execution was always required. Fear was never your enemy. Avoidance was. And the perfect moment was never hiding somewhere in the future. It has always been standing right in front of you. The truth is simple, but it's uncomfortable. Your life will not change because you understand these words. It will not change because you felt motivated while listening. It will not change because you agreed with the message. It will change only when you decide that waiting is no longer an option. Every breakthrough begins with a decision that feels small in the moment, but becomes massive over time. A decision to start before you feel ready. A decision to act before you feel confident. A decision to move while fear is still whispering. You don't need a new year. You don't need a new environment. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a standard for yourself that says, I move anyway, because the cost of waiting is invisible at first. It doesn't show up dramatically. It shows up quietly, in missed opportunities, in unexplored potential, in conversations never started, in ideas never tested. And one day, it shows up as regret. Regret is heavier than failure. Failure teaches. Regret haunts. Imagine yourself years from now looking back at this exact moment. Will you see it as another time you felt inspired and did nothing? Or will you see it as the turning point where you finally stop negotiating with your excuses? You already know what you need to do. There is something you've been delaying, a step you've been avoiding, a risk you've been overanalyzing, a move you've been postponing. Until life feels safer, life will never feel completely safe. Growth demands uncertainty. Success demands courage. Transformation demands motion. The people who change their lives are not the most talented. They are not the luckiest. They are not the most perfectly prepared. They are the ones who got tired of waiting. So this is your line in the sand. This is your interruption. This is the moment where understanding turns into action. Stop waiting for clarity, create it by moving. Stop waiting for confidence, build it by doing. Stop waiting for the right time, declare that this is the right time, because the moment you stop waiting is the moment you take control. And the moment you take control is the moment your life begins to shift in ways you once only imagined.